number one, if you're not from Corpus Christi, it does get hot and it does get humid, and you will dehydrate very quickly. So if you don't hydrate the night before and you don't hydrate during the race, you will end up very sickly.
And so, in order to maintain that hydration levels and everything that are that you would recommend, what would some things that they would need to be on top of? I guess the night before, maybe the morning of or day of, and everything else.
Yeah, the night before, I know everybody wants to carb load, carb load, carb load. That's perfectly fine. However, beer, wine, and booze do not count as carb loading. You're going to eat pasta, that's fine, but no booze the night before. Booze, it increased dehydration very quickly. You will be up all night, going to the bathroom anyway. So drink water, stick to water.
So you wouldn't even necessarily recommend electrolytes as far as like Gatorade and stuff like that?
Gatorade is fine to use during the race. It's fine to drink after the race. I see people wearing tutus and sparklers and antlers and all kinds of stuff, but no one ever wears a camel pack. A camel pack is a great way to stay hydrated throughout the entire race. Kids, if your coach tells you not to stop for water, that's a bad idea. Stop for water whenever it's available. Better yet, bring your own. Monsters, Red Bulls. If you need a Red Bull to run a race like this race ain't for you. That is a bad idea. Causes increased dehydration during the race.
All right. So primarily hydration. Those are some good pointers and everything. As far as any other safety tips, or as far as maybe like something to line your shoes with, maybe to keep your feet up to par or anything? Or?
Wear well-fitting shoes that you're comfortable in, something that you've worn before. Do not wear new shoes. Number one, it's going to be nasty. Number two, they just rub blisters on your feet. If it needs to be something you're comfortable in running in, period. The clothing needs to be cool, comfortable. Don't rub friction. When you're running, your arms are going, it will rub blisters on your nipples. It'll blisters all over the place. So you want to try to just wear something that you're comfortable running in.
So, something to prevent that friction and stuff, would you recommend maybe some looser fitting clothing, or would that loose fit cause more friction, do you think?
I think most people wear actually more comfortable, tighter fitting clothing, but they use Vaseline and all kinds of things on there. Some men shave their chest. It's all kinds of things.
Of course, I heard the taping the nipples up and stuff.
Taping the nipples up, it works perfectly fine if you can stand to have tape ripped off your nipples. Yeah. Some people like that kind of thing.
All right, and can't really think of much else to ask you as far as any specifics.
One more.
Yeah.
Kids. If you have kids in the race, you need to make sure there's someone at the pickup place, period. It's not a good idea to leave your kid unattended. So someone drop them off and someone pick them up. Probably not the same person because traffic is awful. The other thing I would suggest is to write your kid's number, write your phone number and your name on their sleeve of their shirt or on the back of their shirt, the front of their shirt, somewhere, because if there is an emergency and they end up in the medical tent, which a lot of times they do, they may not be able to remember your number. They may not even remember their own name. If we have to transport them to the hospital, we want to be able to know who you are and not wonder about what your number is.
I guess it's going to be fairly sunny, I'm sure, at some points during the day. I know we're expecting rain as well and stuff like that, but just as far as sun protection or anything like that, sunscreen, everything else, I'm sure.
If we get rain, it's just going to make it worse, not better. Make sure you wear your sunscreen, even if it's cloudy, because Corpus Christi sun will cook you like a microwave oven. With the humidity, it's like running through thick soup. Be prepared, if you're not from here, to have that trouble getting your air at first, because it is tough to get used to. The wind just dries you out really quickly, and it's also a force to run against, so you have to account for all those things. Take your time. This is not the Olympics. You're not going to get giant gold medals at the end of this. It's more important for you to be safe and take your time to get through it safely.
That was going to be kind of my next question too. I know some people, like competitive runners, they like to use this as a practice or something like that, a way to keep up to skills and everything. But for those who aren't competitive and are more casual runners and stuff, would you recommend maybe finding an accountability buddy to run alongside with you and try to keep up with each other's pace, or anything like that as far as maintaining a group?
As far as I know, there's going to be bicyclists going along beside the group. There are policemen all through the route. We've had several people go down halfway through. The two worst legs, leg 3, which is from the island to the bluff, what you need to know is that bridge, you have water at the end of that bridge, and then 3 miles later, you have water. There is no water on that bridge, which is why tent 3, where I work, is a very, very busy tent because they just don't get enough hydration. Make sure you eat breakfast beforehand. That helps. No banana, no yogurt. Breakfast, real food.
Gotta
Make
get that
sure
protein in you.
Protein. Make sure that the kids eat. I know that 6 o'clock in the morning is early for them, but they must eat before they run. They will be very sick if they don't. What else? What was your question again?
Just maintaining a kind of a group.
People that haven't run this race before, you got all that. I mean, it's a tough race to run. You think, 4.5 miles, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. If you have not trained for this, please, this requires training. If you look like me, requires a lot of training. But training is a must before you run this race. If you're just coming out going, I think I'm going to run the beach today. No. It's not for amateurs. You need to practice beforehand. Now, most people start working out in March, even February for this, just so they can get prepared for it, because the heat is something you cannot account for.
If anyone's having any second thoughts going into it, or maybe halfway through what they intended to run or anything like that, don't try to push yourself too hard, you would
If
say.
you get in trouble, stop, wave down an officer, wave down the ambulances they're driving by. They will be driving by throughout the race. If you're going to have your phone with you, be prepared. Get yourself help before you get in too much trouble. That's really the secret. If you're not going to complete your leg, make sure you call your buddy that you're going to exchange the baton with, because otherwise they're sitting there wondering about you. Last year we had someone stop at the bar in the bluff and just quit. So you need to make sure that you're able to communicate with that next person up the road, because otherwise they're going to be really upset that you didn't show up, because they probably practiced. And like I said, there'll be people along the race to help with any kind of illness and that kind of stuff. But we found people seizing on the side of the road, all kinds of stuff. The other thing, people make mistakes. They think that salt is going to keep them hydrated. Salt will kill you if you run and eat salt on the way through the race. No pickle juice, no olive juice, no jars of salt, no salt tablets, none of that kind of stuff. People that get really sick are the ones that eat salt. Let's not do that.
When they listen to those myths that
Yes.
they might think that, okay.
If you have any question about anything, ask your doctor about it. Call your nurse on your insurance. Just call a doctor's office and ask. Most of them answer the phone, and we'll ask. There's a nurse there that'll answer any questions for you. I'm sure you can call Premier ER. I'm sure they wouldn't be too mad at you if you called.
All right, good deal. Anything else you'd like to add, or you said you had a poem for us?
Oh, you don't want that. Right? You got plenty of it.
All right.
If you want me to do it, I would.
I think we should be good.